A theorist is a person who reads a book, doesn't do it, reads a book, learns about something, and then talks about it. A practitioner is myself. A practitioner is a person like me. I wanted to be an expert in the mind, a mental toughness guy, beyond mental toughness. The only way to do that, in my eyes, is to put yourself in hell. Put it in hell repeatedly. Repeatedly put yourself in hell and study how you process it. And that's how I was able to come up with all these different ways, all these different tools to slow the mind down in hell. Because the mind just speeds up. The mind wants to get out of the painful situation, the suffering. It can't process it. So that's what I realized by going through all these different processes of being in hell weeks. There's some times where the mind gets overwhelmed and you cannot slow it down. But by these certain tools I developed, by not allowing your mind to get away from the moment, you have to think about the exact moment that you're in. But I saw when I was younger, the moment became too big. When it became too big, I spazzed out and I would quit. But now I don't think about even like an hour from now, I'll be eating. I don't even go there. Because then your mind, no, we must embrace this, because now you have to be a leader in this moment. It's not about you just getting through it. I had 5 guys, and 6 including me, in my boat crew. Now I was the boat crew leader. So now another trick is this: if you don't think about yourself, there's no pain. Which can also lead to pain later on in your life. But in these moments when you're struggling, if you are a true leader and you're worried about your men or women beside you, your mind doesn't care how cold you are anymore. Your mind's only worried about taking care of the men and women beside you. So I started realizing, man, if I take care of these cats to my left and my right in the worst moments, my mind is no longer thinking about, you're miserable, David Goggins, get the hell out of here. You're thinking about, how was John? How was Andy? How was Sam? How was Pete? How are you guys doing? You're not thinking about me. So there's so many things you can do to get outside your own head to then allow your body to just be like, hey, we're just a machine. But you have to let your mind be able to process all these different tactics to do that. Take a different vantage point in life. When you are in the hell, you can't see the beauty of being in it when you're in it. Get on top of that mountaintop in your mind. Get on top of that mountaintop and look down on what you're doing. You can see a whole different world, and that world is beautiful. But you got to get a different vantage point in the suck. Don't be in it. Spiritually, get out of it. Get that soul. Look down on what you're doing. Be amazed by the process of where you're at now and where you came from. I found it. This is the trick. You don't even matter. You're just a machine. You are a machine. Like just like a lever. That's all you are, man. You're not. You're not. And in my book, I talk about what that lever starts to get rusty, starts to get crusty. It starts to, like, I can't even think about anybody but myself. So through the process, what I started to learn was that helps a lot. And you can tap into that all the time. But you have to be able to heal yourself. You have to be able to recover yourself. It can't be something that you continue to do and do and do. There has to be a recovery process for your mind, your body, your soul, your spirit. Encompasses your whole body. So those are tactics, but those tactics must be oiled up. That lever has to be oiled again to go back in it. You know, it's taken me 5 years of doing my meditation, my stretching, my eating right, my sleeping right. And you have to be on a constant reminder, almost like how you put a reminder on your phone, 15 minutes, you got this. That has to be in your brain. You've done too much. Stop. And what happens in life is that we start to see our lives become so successful. We're making money. We're doing this. We're doing that. I want more. I want more. I push harder. I'm all about pushing hard. Don't get me wrong.
Obviously.
I'm all about it. But to push as hard as you can, you have to be mindful of the machine that's pushing. It is going to end up dying. And then it takes years to get it back. So you lose that time. That time is gone. You know, I lost 5 years of I could be crushing it. Where now I'm just now back to crushing it, realizing, God, man, I learned the hard way. That's really sometimes the only way to learn. The unrelenting voice that we all have. What happens to that voice? I'm going to answer your question. We all have a voice in our head. Some of us are very spiritual, some of us are not, but we all have this voice saying, you're doing fucked up shit. This is wrong. Don't do that. The more you don't listen to that voice, the further that voice gets away from your head. Some people call it the Holy Spirit, some people call it God, some monks, whatever you call it. It's there. We all have it. It's the right or wrong voice. But the more we don't listen to it, the more that voice goes away. And the only voice you hear is yourself. When the only voice you hear is yourself, you're wrong. There's a voice that guides you through life. When sometimes it's guiding you in a direction that you don't want to go, that's usually the right place to go. It's that uncomfortable place. So that voice is always talking to me, but we don't listen to it. I listen to it. And when I start getting anxious, nervous, like we all know when we've done too much because it's telling us, I'm getting tired, I'm wearing down. But we go. I start talking to my fiance, hey, I'm doing too much. You start now, like I did in Hell Week, like I do all the time, the 1 second decision. It's that decision when your mind starts to get so amped up. Whenever you can't hear yourself think, you gotta slow down. Whenever you're living off a schedule, every day's a schedule, you have no time for yourself. When you start, and we all know it, I don't have time for this anymore, I don't have time for that anymore. That's when your mind and your body are saying, think about that. I'm neglecting my fiance, I'm neglecting my disciplines of life, I'm neglecting my reading, my learning, my workouts, my diet. When you start neglecting all of that, you neglect one of them, you can neglect all of them a long time. It's going to haunt you. When you start seeing that, my God, I haven't eaten right in a long time, haven't been sleeping right in a long time, it can only be one of those things to take you off. So I'm very aware of my eating, my sleeping, my disciplines of life. And when I started to get too far away from them, it's a hard stop. Because what made me are the not just disciplines, the self-disciplines of life. And those are always in front of you. If you have any, they're always in front of you. So that's my hard stop. The mind's the most powerful weapon in the world. Yeah. It can guide you to being very comfortable also. Yeah. So you gotta be careful. The mind will trick you. Yeah. And it's saying, just sleep in today, you deserve it. Yeah. Sometimes you don't deserve it. So there's that fine line of the mind getting the tactical advantage over you to where you're like, I've worked too hard. Yeah. You really haven't worked hard enough. On the other side of that extreme place that I call suffering, call whatever you want, there's a whole nother world that people have not even examined. But you have to go to that extreme place to examine it. We want to stay here in this comfortable place. Once you're willing to push yourself to that extreme place, it's like a whole nother universe. It's almost like you're an astronaut and you've examined something like up in outer space. No, it's always been there. But you have to be going through all the muck and all the shit to examine it. You realize, wow, God, through all this crap, there's a whole nother universe over here in my mind. Yeah. Whole nother universe. We see superhuman people and we title them. The second we title them, what that does, that gives us a get out of jail free card, is that they're the 1%ers. I'm not even going to try to do that because that's not even in me. God made them special. They're special people. There are no special people. They're special minds, and the mind can be created on your own. You can do that yourself. So that's why I write the book like I write it, so people can look at me and say, my God, he came from this? He had to overcome all of this? So I take away all the titles, even crazy, even the fact. Superhuman. All those titles are now stripped away. But what's funny about that, you will have my book in your hand. You will read it in its entirety. You will hear the audio book, whatever you get. And by the time you get to chapter 9 or 10, you already forgot chapter 1, 2, and 3 of the hell I came through. That's how fast the mind wants to soften you up and say, this guy's just nuts. He's superhuman. That's how fast the mind, you already forgot what you read. And you love the book. You're loving the book. And you already forgot the first 3 chapters because your mind's saying, this is impossible. It's already guiding you down that path of least resistance as you're reading the book. That's how powerful it is. So we got to constantly remind ourselves of, go back to chapter 1, 2, and 3. Always remind yourself of those chapters, of that you can also do this. But you have to first self-examine or live autopsy your own personal life.